There are football matches, and then there are nights that leave a stain. What happened between Argentina and Egypt was supposed to be a controlled march for one of football's giants. Instead, it became a collapse, a resurrection, and then an explosion of accusations that refused to die. One side called it championship courage, the other called it something far uglier, and by the end of this video you will understand exactly why Argentina's 3-2 comeback still feels less like a result and more like an unresolved case. The stakes could not have been higher. A World Cup knockout match. A quarterfinal place on the line. Lionel Messi, carrying the hopes of a nation. Egypt standing within touching distance of the greatest upset in its football history. At 2-0 down late in the game, Argentina looked finished. Finished. But what followed turned a sporting contest into a global argument. Stay with us, and if you want the story behind moments like this, subscribe now, because the final minutes changed everything. At the center of this match is one brutal contradiction. Did Argentina survive because champions know how to suffer and strike at the last possible second? Or did they survive because the standard of officiating shifted when Egypt got too close to history? That is the question hanging over everything. From the first whistle, Argentina looked wrong. Their passing was slow, their shape was cramped, and every attack seemed to rely on Messi producing magic on demand. Egypt sensed weakness immediately. They pressed with discipline, protected the middle, and attacked with menace whenever space opened up. El Neni broke up play, Marmoush drove at the back line, and Argentina never looked comfortable. Messi looked especially off. His touches were heavy, his passes were late, and his free kicks lacked danger. The camera kept finding his face, and every time it did, the frustration looked sharper. This was not the authority people expected from him. This was a star fighting the game and losing. Then came the first blow. Egypt won the ball in midfield, broke forward, and Marmoush burst into the left channel before cutting the ball back for Mostafa Mohamed, who swept it past Emiliano Martinez. 1-0. Not a warning, a statement. Argentina had been hit, and Egypt were not backing down. The favorites tried to respond, but the same problem kept repeating. Too slow, too narrow, too predictable. Egypt stayed compact and patient, forcing Argentina to recycle the ball without really hurting them. Then Argentina got the moment that should have restored order. A penalty. Messi over the ball. The stadium frozen. And then the save. That was the emotional earthquake. The Egyptian goalkeeper guessed correctly and pushed it away, and suddenly the match tilted. The roar from the Egyptian supporters sounded like belief becoming real. Even Messi could fail here. Even Messi. If the missed penalty rattled Argentina, Egypt's second goal nearly destroyed them. With Argentina committing more bodies forward, the space behind them widened. A diagonal ball exposed the flank, the cross came in early, and Zizo finished to make it 2-0 late. Argentina were stunned. Egypt were staring at immortality. This is where the story became bigger than football. On the Egyptian bench, assistants were already in tears. In the stands, supporters were holding their heads, afraid to celebrate too early. This was more than a lead. This was a nation beginning to believe it was about to witness the impossible. But that is just the beginning. Argentina's comeback started not with elegance, but with desperation. Their manager finally changed the structure, pushing extra runners into the half spaces and stretching Egypt wider than it wanted to go. Argentina stopped hunting perfect openings and started attacking chaos. Second balls, rebounds, half clearances, any loose moment they could force. The game lost shape. That helped Argentina. In the 83rd minute they got one back. A low cross was only half cleared. Alvarez kept the move alive, and Lautaro Martinez smashed the loose ball home. 2-1. Still unlikely, still distant, but not dead, not dead, not dead. And that is where the arguments really begin. Argentina kept coming. Egypt kept retreating. Every challenge felt heavier, every whistle more dangerous. Then came the major flashpoint. Argentina appealed for handball inside the area after a deflected ball struck an Egyptian defender at close range. The referee waved play on, but VAR checked it. Slowly, painfully. Replays rolled, tempers rose, and nobody seemed fully certain what the standard was supposed to be. No penalty was given. Play continued. Yet instead of calming the match, the check only deepened the suspicion around every decision that followed. Before we go deeper, if this is the kind of coverage you have been looking for, subscribe and turn on notifications, because what happened next is the moment this match crossed from drama into controversy. In the 89th minute, Messi drifted away from the center, then suddenly reappeared at the edge of the box as history bent around him. One touch to control, one quick exchange, one return ball through traffic, and Messi drilled his shot low across goal into the far corner. 2-2. From nightmare to redemption in a single breath. But Egypt were furious before the celebration even ended. They wanted a foul in the build-up. They wanted a stoppage for what they believed was an Argentine shove during the recovery. Above all, they wanted consistency. That word kept echoing after the match. Consistency, consistency, consistency. because players can survive heartbreak more easily than they can survive uncertainty. Then stoppage time delivered the moment that may never stop being debated. Argentina attacked again. A cross dropped into the area, bodies collided, a clearance attempt ricocheted loose, and the ball fell perfectly for Enzo Fernandez, who drove it into the corner. 3-2 Argentina. One end erupted, the other froze. Egypt's bench exploded in rage. Players rushed toward the officials. Coaches begged for a review. Their manager shouted that his defender had been impeded before the ball broke for Fernandez. The referee stood firm. The goal stood. Seconds later, the final whistle blew. That should have ended the story. It started the accusation. Egypt's players did not speak like a team processing an ordinary defeat. They spoke like men convinced something had been taken from them. They pointed to the gray areas, the selective interventions, the feeling that every decisive moment leaned just enough toward the team with the bigger name and the heavier shirt. They did not need to say the ugliest word for everyone to hear it anyway: bias. Argentina, of course, saw it differently. They pointed to Messi's missed penalty, to the handball appeal that was rejected, to Egypt dropping too deep once pressure rose. Their argument was simple. This is what champions do. They survive panic. They suffer. They adapt. They punish fear. And here is where it changes completely. Because both versions contain something true. Argentina did show resilience. The tactical shift mattered. Messi, terrible for long stretches, still found the nerve to drag his team back when the pressure was highest. That is real. But Egypt's pain is real too. Football is judged not only by the final score, but by whether both sides believe the path to that score was clean. Egypt did not believe that. Their supporters did not believe that. Neutral viewers, watching the reviews, the non-reviews, the borderline collisions, were left asking the most dangerous question in sport. If the shirts had been reversed, would the same decisions have stood? Sit with that for a moment. If Egypt had completed this comeback against Argentina while benefiting from every marginal call, would the world have called it epic? Or would outrage have swallowed the result before sunrise? That question is why this match still burns. Because this was never just about a comeback. It became a referendum on power, reputation, and trust, on whether giant teams create their own luck through relentless pressure, or whether pressure bends the people and systems meant to remain untouched by it, on whether VAR clarifies truth, or simply gives controversy a cleaner replay. By the end, Messi was celebrating in a storm of relief while Egyptian players stood with that hollow look athletes wear when they no longer know exactly what they lost. A game? A quarterfinal? A place in history? Or faith that history had been decided fairly? So what really happened here? Maybe the most honest answer is also the most uncomfortable one. A great team rescued itself. A brave team cracked under unbearable pressure. And in the narrow space between those two facts, suspicion rushed in and made the night immortal. What do you think? Was this pure championship resilience, or one of the World Cup's most painful officiating controversies hiding behind a classic comeback? Tell us in the comments, like the video, subscribe for more deep dives into the stories beneath the spectacle, and remember this: the scoreboard can end a match, but it cannot always settle the truth.